said, I've seen this teaching module go 20 plus minutes, and there's absolutely no reason for that anymore. We just don't need to do that. So, shooters, center up. We're going to move on with, we've been shooting prone all day here, but now we're going to teach something a little bit different. And our model Rob here is going to show us the seated and kneeling positions that we teach here at Appleseed. Now there are 4 positions we're going to teach. We're going to go from the most stable to the least stable. Now why would we want to teach something that might be a little less stable than the prone position we've been shooting all day? And you ask the question, you present the question to folks. Why are, if prone is most stable, which it typically is, why would we teach something not as stable, right? And of course the common answer is going to be what? Terrain?
Conditions.
Yeah, 12 inches of water, right? Different things, different positions, or different features are going to warrant us to choose a different of the field positions that we teach. So, what Rob has done is he's already donned the loop sling, as you can see. Now, we're going to start, again, with the most stable that we teach, and that's going to be the crossed leg position. But before he does it, he's going to index himself about 45 degrees. Remember, we indexed in the prone position about 30. Now he's going to go a little bit more, maybe closer to 45 degrees. And he is going to now we're going to go over the steady hold factors in the crossed leg position. You can see that his support hand is open and loosely cradling the rifle. The support elbow is in front of the support knee. His sling is smooth and snug, high above the bicep. You can see that he's tucked in his trigger leg inside his support leg. You can actually do it either way, depending on how much elevation you might need. The other way might give you a little different elevation, but that's the way he's chosen to do it, which is fine. You can see that his trigger elbow is on the target side of his trigger knee, and he does have that firm handshake grip with that trigger hand. His trigger finger is that C-shaped trigger finger, and he still has that turkey neck and cheek weld that we talked about earlier in the prone position. So those remain constant through this position. Now, he can do his natural point of aim drill, and what does he have to do if he does his natural point of aim drill and finds that his sights are not on target? What are we doing? We're going to shift, right? Yeah, we're going to shift. Now, his pivot point here is not going to be his support elbow. Instead, his pivot point is going to be his spine, where he is seated. That's going to be his pivot point. He just gradually shifts around that pivot point if he needs to adjust for his windage. Back and forth, left and right, simple as can be. Now, if he needs to adjust his elevation, he needs to do a couple of things, one of 2 things, or a couple different things he could do. And one is he can slide that elbow down in front of his knee some more, or bring it up a little higher. Perhaps he can even plant that elbow in the crux of his knee if he needs even a little bit more stability. But what we're going to avoid here is bone on bone. Does everybody see that? We do not place the elbow on top of the knee. So that's one thing we're going to avoid. So place that elbow in the crux of the knee or in front of the knee for the best stability. That'll help adjust for your elevation. All right. What are your questions on the cross leg position? Now, if this cross leg position is not something that you can do in your own, your body geometry dictates that this won't be something you can do, try the next of the stable positions, and that's going to be a little less stable, but this is called the crossed ankle position, where he simply presses his feet out from his body. And the steady hold factors are exactly the same in the crossed ankle position as they are in the crossed leg position. Does everybody see that? Pivoting for your natural point of aim is exactly the same. Your spine is still your pivot point. So if you need to shift, you just shift your feet back and forth. If you need to shift your elevation, it's like a little bit easier here. You can actually bring your feet towards you a little bit more to elevate your sights, and vice versa to go down. That's the steady hold factors in the crossed leg position, crossed ankle position, excuse me. Now, if one of these seated positions don't work for you, the next one that we're going to teach is the open leg position, where he simply places his feet out in front of him, brings his knees up somewhat so that he can almost plant his feet down. If you're flexible enough to have your feet planted straight down the ground, please do so. If you're wearing boots or if you're not flexible like me, you won't be able to do that. But what we're trying to get here is to relax those feet down as far as possible. Steady hold factors in this position, again, exactly the same as the other 2 seated positions. Pivot point, exactly the same. The spine, and you just shift your feet right or left, or bring them back and forth slightly for adjustment in your elevation. That's all it takes. If you can do any of these seated positions, you're going to be more stable than the next position we're going to teach. So if you can do one of these, please try these. Otherwise, we'll teach you the kneeling position, the last position that we're going to teach. You can see that steady hold factors in this kneeling position are largely the same. We have that support hand open, loosely cradling the rifle. Support elbow is in front of the support knee. You can see the sling is snug and smooth across the back of the hand, high above the bicep. You can see that he has his support leg in front of his elbow. It is inclined in front. We do not want that tucked back in. Not like that, but either straight up or slightly in front like that. That's where that support leg should be. You can see that he has the ball of his foot underneath him. This is a quick way to do it. Or if you're flexible enough, you can actually rotate your ankle, your foot, and sit on the foot like this. This is a little bit more stable than having the toe under. Everybody see that? Actually a little bit lower to the ground, so this will be a little bit more stable. So that knee is just placed wherever it needs to be right there. Now you can see that he's got nowhere for that elbow to go. His support elbow, or excuse me, his trigger elbow is floating out there in space, so we put that up in what we call a chicken wing. Gives a little bit more of a pocket for that shoulder, for the shoulder pocket for that butt stock to rest into. So there's that firm handshake grip, C-shaped trigger finger, turkey neck, and cheek weld. And again, for his adjustment for natural point of aim, all he needs to do is wiggle that foot right to left for his adjustment and windage. And for elevation, he can just bring that forward, bring it back to adjust for his elevation. Everything else is just like you see it. What are your questions on the seated positions? Seated or kneeling positions? That's all there is to it. Don't spend a lot of time teaching the crossed ankle, the open leg position. You spent the time on the closed leg, or the crossed leg position, the first one. Everything else is the same. You're just moving your feet somewhere else. So we don't need to rehash all those steady hold factors every single time, which is how I was taught to do it. Okay? So we can do this quickly and efficiently and give the model a break from being in that position for so long. All right? So you hit the steady hold factors at the beginning with the crossed ankle, or the crossed leg position. Then I always hit them again at the end with the kneeling position. Hit the steady hold factors and leave it at that. Any questions?